Hello and welcome to Con Artist number 5, A Nightmare Before Comic-Con. And enough of that. So,
Shut it up!
technical difficulties, but it is Halloween. Weird stuff seems to happen. Okay.
We don't need Halloween for that.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, I'm your host, Maestro, and I'm here as always with my two colleagues.
I'm Dan. And I am the Pumpkin King, also known as Shiny Dr. Cosplay.
Leave the Pumpkin King out of the podcast.
But I am the Pumpkin King. Also, I'm Batman. Don't tell anyone.
You scared of Girl Scouts? They're knocking at the door.
I don't have any money.
No. You need to watch College Humor.
Apparently so. What have you done with Harvey Face and Scary Face?
Oh, sex jokes aside, I'm actually losing a lot of blood.
We're off topic.
Yes, we are, and we're ripping off College Humor, but check them out on YouTube. They're awesome. But before we get into our regularly scheduled show...
we have something to bitch about.
Yes, we do.
As opposed to any other Saturday?
There's this article I read the other day that's really bugging me, and I feel it is our job to definitely defend the cosplayers of the world.
Absolutely.
So I read this article about this girl. I don't remember her name. I don't remember where she's from. Actually, I think she's actually from Germany. I'm not sure. But apparently now, the girl, and we're not racist here on, con artists, but there's a point to this story. This girl is a white girl who decided to cosplay as Michonne from The Walking Dead. And in doing so, she used makeup to make her skin darker to make herself look more like Michonne. Now, I saw the picture. I thought she did an amazing job on the cosplay. She looked a lot like the character. But the problem is, now we have
a witch hunt.
Yeah, we have hundreds, thousands, maybe even millions of people all crying racism. And I have a problem with that. So, who wants to rant first?
Me.
Yeah, our friend Kara is joining us for this because she wants to get some stuff off her chest. Just remember, this is a PG show.
Oh, yeah, no swearing.
Since when?
It just bothers me. I think it's ridiculous because everything has to be turned into a political debate. She could not, if she was walking around that con with no dark makeup on, with just, the ripped clothes and the hair and everything, nobody would get what she was trying to do.
Basically.
And the same, if there was a black girl walking around and she put white makeup on to be Carol from The Walking Dead, would we even be having this conversation? And you open a door wide open, like what I said earlier. If somebody was doing Darth Maul and had red contacts in, crap, all the albinos are going to be really pissed off now, aren't they?
Maybe. But, we had this conversation earlier, too, is you never see, and I've seen a lot of cosplayers do it, female cosplayers. Like, I'll see a girl dress up as Rick or Daryl from Walking Dead, and I don't see anybody yelling sexes.
Or Carl.
Or what?
Or Carl.
Carl, too.
No, it really just doesn't make any sense. It bothers me that everything has to be turned into something way bigger than it was. I saw the picture. The girl looked fantastic. It was 100% completely accurate costume that she would not have been able to accomplish if she just didn't put the makeup on.
Yeah.
Nobody would understand that. Like, wow, you're a dirty girl's dreads. What of it?
Yeah. You could be Rob Zombie's wife. Not that she ever had dreads, but you know what I mean.
Well, it's one of those things like Kara said. It's opening up a can of worms here. I mean, anybody can cry anything if we're going to let this pass. I mean, how many times has our resident shiny doctor done Doctor Who? You're not British. I've lost count. And what are you implying?
Or Scottish.
But the bottom line is I think cosplay is... The whole idea behind cosplay is to dress up as your favorite character and have some fun. And if we're going to start crying racism, or sexism or anything, I think it just, you just getting out of hand. I mean, like I said earlier, isn't imitation supposed to be the highest form of flattery?
Well, I do not hear, and forgive me, I can't remember the actress's name, but the woman who plays Michonne, I don't hear her saying anything. I don't hear
No,
her
I haven't
saying,
heard
"Oh,
anything.
this white girl tried to be me." I don't hear her making a complaint about it.
Like I personally, like if I was any character on a show and somebody went through all that time to depict my character perfectly, like you're going as like a superhero, you can go to any Walmart and get a Superman costume.
Yeah.
But this girl very clearly put every piece of this together herself. And if that was me personally, no matter what color you are, no matter what gender you are, if there was a guy that did it, if the costume looks awesome, would have been like, hell yeah, like you look fantastic. And she did. I really don't think anybody has beef. And people that keep turning it into something bigger than it is need a day job or some kind of life.
It really speaks more to themselves than anything else. I mean, this girl, like you said, she's a German cosplayer, and that is true. Her name is Kira, and I'm not going to get any further into that because I feel like this poor girl's already been through enough flack from people, and has really had to kind of take a step back and kind of get away from it for a little bit. But this girl, if you didn't point out that she had done makeup to change her skin tone, you honestly wouldn't know it to look at her. She did an amazing job. And this is somebody whose sole intent was to accurately portray a character that they admire, that they identify with. And it's absolutely true. You have a lot of male well, actually, I can't even say you have a lot. You have some male cosplayers that will gender bend a character to play a male version of a female character. You have significantly more female cosplayers that are willing and able to do the same thing. And granted, that's gender, and nobody has any issue with that. But this girl who had probably no racist bone in her body and certainly had no racist intent is being labeled a racist by a group of people who seem less interested in what she was attempting than poking the hornet's nest and stirring people up into a frenzy over something that really was nothing to begin with.
Well, you know what? An interesting thing I noticed, and take it for what you will. When I read the article originally, and I saw the people commenting on Facebook, I mean, 90% of it was defending her. But what I did notice, the few people who were bashing her weren't even black. They were, I mean, I saw an Asian kid, I saw white people, I saw different, but I really didn't see, it wasn't like a whole lot of African Americans or whatever were coming out and saying, oh, this is racist and she needs to stop. So it's just, it almost seems to me like, is this even a problem, or were people just looking for something to complain about?
Well,
It is the internet.
Well,
yeah,
yes.
this is true. But my opinion personally is in situations like this, people like that who are so quick to call racism, it's because they're racist.
I think Morgan Freeman said it best.
He always does.
Yeah. And I don't just mean because he's Morgan
Ever
Freeman.
since I was a little boy.
And I'm not just saying because everything he says is awesome, but I remember he did an interview once and he was talking about racism and stuff like that. He said the best way to get rid of racism is to stop talking about it.
Bingo.
And I know people are going to be like, oh, but you guys are talking about this podcast. It's like, yo, I'm talking about a specific problem that's because people are still talking about it. And I feel like I said this. We had the same conversation a few episodes ago about like gay, straight, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's 2014. People
Why are we
grow
still,
up.
Why are we still talking about it? Why is it still a problem?
It's an issue only because people have made an issue about it, and it really, in a more evolved society where people stop looking at gender, sexual orientation, color of the skin, hair color, eye color, when people get past all that superficial stuff, that's when this type of stuff goes away. It's like if you don't make an issue out of it, it's not going to be an issue. The issue at hand here, in my book, as a cosplayer, is this is a cosplayer who put a lot of effort into their art, into their craft, took a lot of time, a lot of effort to really bring their version of this character to life, to pay proper tribute to a character that they admire, and they're getting roasted on the internet for not doing anything wrong. In some eyes, what she did is wrong, but essentially at the core of it all, this is somebody who wanted to accurately portray a character that they admire.
I
There
believe they
shouldn't
call
be
it
anything
closed
wrong with
eyes.
that.
mean, I just think it's kind of ridiculous that in a day and age where every one of us is walking around with a little device in our pocket that can reach any corner of the earth, and when there's girls marrying girls, guys marrying guys, there's a girl in Russia who wants to be a real Barbie. So all this stuff is going on, and we're still talking about racism. I don't care what color you are. I don't black, white, purple, orange. I don't care. And I don't understand why it still bothers people.
The old Barbie with the big boobs or the new one with the little ones?
The one that she thinks she can live on sunshine and air.
Oh.
Yeah,
Interested to see how that pans out. I have my theory. Probably not in her favor, but
No, but it's one of those things. I read the article. I thought this is absolutely ridiculous and stupid, and it just aggravates me that we still live in this world.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like,
It's like
why is it still an issue in this day and age? Why is skin color still an issue?
especially. I mean, and like I said, this girl's over in Germany. But I feel like a lot of the haters are coming from the United States. It's like this is the United States is the melting pot. You know what I mean? I'm a Heinz 57. I have so many different races in me. Yeah, but it's so funny when anybody pulls the racist crap with me. I always say, you know something? I'm a quarter Cherokee Native American, and the only reason I'm a quarter is because there aren't enough left to make a full one. So keep your racist crap to yourself.
And I hate the internet too because everybody's a keyboard gangster. It's like seriously, I could sit here all day and tell you how stupid you look, how dumb your outfit is, how gross your hair looks. But would I have the guts to actually walk up and say it to your face? Me personally, I'm over 6 feet tall and I got a decent left hook. I probably would say it to your face. But 90% of the people behind these message boards and behind these comments, they wouldn't walk up and say that straight to your face. Everybody's a tough guy behind a computer screen.
Exactly. They're always tough on their keyboard.
and that is a huge part of it too. Is that people do find that voice that they wouldn't have in a face-to-face situation.
Yeah.
Where they're afraid of retaliation. They're behind a keyboard. They're behind a computer screen. Unless they live with the person that they want to bash on Facebook or Twitter or anywhere else, they really don't have much fear of reprisal. And
Basically.
it makes what they want to say that much more important to them because they can get away with it, but at the same time, they don't take a second to step back and look at it and go, is this even really an issue? Is this important? Do I even need to deal with this crap today? People have so many other things to worry about. Do I really want to waste their time with this? And then they look at it and go, hey, I've got a keyboard and I'm behind a computer screen. Nobody can hit me. Yeah, I want to do this.
Yeah.
I agree with you guys. People, they'll run their mouth when they're safely behind their keyboard in their parents' basement. But when what it comes down to is in the real world, you have no mobbers. Mobbers.
But I've been a very, and I hate to sound like the voice of the future, but it's like it's time we stop, trying to move forward as a race or as a religion, try to move forward as a species, because it's the only way we're going to get anywhere.
We've got all the technology from Star Trek. We're on the verge of achieving warp speed. Now we just got to get the social stuff out of the way.
First, you got to do is fix the planet, and there's a lot of things we have to fix. People wonder why we haven't met any extraterrestrials left. I'm just like, have you looked at us?
Yeah. Yeah.
Still waiting for my hoverboard.
Yeah, I know, right? The guys on Big Bang Theory are working on it this new season, but it's supposed to be out next year. You guys got like what? 2 months left, 2.5 months. Where's my hoverboard?
Where are my flying cars?
Where's my self-tying sneakers? Where's Jaws 15 or whatever it was? And there was something else.
Hey, this time it's really, really personal.
Yes.
All right, well, I'm going to excuse myself to go watch hockey. Thank you for letting me weigh in because this subject really, really bugged the crap out of me. So, you boys have fun. I'll bring beers later.
And back
Thanks
to our
for joining us, not CM Punk. We do enjoy your company nonetheless.
Yeah. Speaking of, yes. Anyway.
Oui, Fifi.
Speaking of CM Punk, time for our regularly scheduled complaining.
Oh, good. Now we get to complain about CM Punk.
Yeah. Well, like I said, as I've said many times before.
If the WWE was interested in listening to its fans, we wouldn't still be complaining that the WWE sucks without CM Punk.
Yes. And this is, Con Artist, your number one source for nothing except our opinion. But now it is time for the WWE sucks without CM Punk. Now, this kind of has a subtitle today. I mean, yeah, it's the WWE sucks without CM Punk, but I feel like it's more or less WWE sucks just in general. I mean,
Well, it's they suck without leadership.
yeah, or
There's
good leadership for that.
there's nobody. There doesn't seem to be anybody in that creative room that can come up with an idea that sounds the least bit interesting. Like, hey, what should we do for our double main event at the next pay-per-view? Well, we'll do this one thing with these guys who clearly don't like each other in terms of our programming. But for the other main event, hey, let's do John Cena versus Randy Orton because who's not sick of seeing that at every pay-per-view?
Yeah. Um, but you're right. I mean, it's like this current pay per view, and I think the biggest problem with this next pay per view is where's our champion?
That's a good question all on its own. We have a champion who was handed the title at SummerSlam. Hey, part timer, come on back. We'll slap the title around your waist. We'll even let you wear the new one when we combine it so that people don't have to walk around with two. But then the night after that, you don't have to show up on SmackDown, and you don't have to show up the next week, and you don't have to show up the week after that. But, come back the week before the pay per view, and then take the rest of the year off, it seems.
From the way it sounds, there's no plans for Brock Lesnar to basically show his face before the Royal Rumble. I mean, I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but what are we doing? I mean, we were talking about this earlier today, and it was like I understand, a few it was like 2 years ago, I think they did the same thing with The Rock. Part timer comes back, wins the title, but Rock won the title at Royal Rumble. I believe he was on the next night on Raw. I think he was every other week he was there. He defended the title at I believe it was Elimination Chamber, and kept it, and then he lost at WrestleMania. So he had it for 2 months, and then he gave it back, and then he went on his way. But now you have Brock Lesnar, who's already held it for two pay-per-views. This third pay-per-view, he's not here, and nobody knows when he's coming back. We have this brand new title belt that nobody can see because he's off doing something else or just sitting at home. I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, it was a pretty belt for the 5 minutes that it was on Monday Night Raw the night after SummerSlam.
That's kind of why I stopped watching wrestling years ago.
Well, there's a lot of reasons.
It's the reason a lot of people stopped watching wrestling years ago.
Well, there's characters that I like. I like Dean Ambrose. I like Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. I like Daniel Bryan. I feel like these are all people with potential. Daniel Bryan, he made event at WrestleMania. He finally got. I feel like he got the push he deserved. Unfortunately, it took CM Punk to walk out of the company for that to happen. But he got the push he deserved. But now they're saying he's not going to be back by the Royal Rumble because apparently he needs another surgery. He was. I don't know. I don't have the full story. I know I was reading a thing that said back in August the doctor said, no, you don't need another surgery. You're fine. But when I heard a report a week ago, he does not have any strength back in his arm. So now they're saying you might need another surgery. So I don't know what's going on with him. I hope he comes back soon because on a personal level, I'm not a huge fan of Daniel Bryan's character. I get the whole. I like the underdog story. I think he's a great wrestler. I'm just not, and I almost hate to keep comparing people to him, but he's no CM Punk. He's no Rock. He's no Stone Cold, and he's really not supposed to be.
But their characters sucked when they started too.
They did.
Are you questioning the longevity of Rocky Maivia?
And the Ringmaster. Oh no, I'll give you one better. Stunning Steve Austin.
It would be really nice to have Terror Rising
Yep.
kind of weigh in on this and give his opinion of what's best for business and how this company seems to be going. Unfortunately, like Phil Brooks, Walking Dead enthusiast, Terror Rising, better known as Paul Levesque, better known as Triple H, just couldn't make it to the show to weigh in and kind of defend the creative air quotes all around this strategy that WWE seems to be going in which they take guys who are not named Randy Orton, John Cena, or Brock Lesnar and let them linger in the mid card because we don't know what to do with them. But let's just keep throwing the other guys into the matches, except for Brock Lesnar, who's sitting on a beach somewhere sipping Mai Tais with his pretty belt,
Brand new shiny belt
right
that
next
we
to him.
can't see. I mean, Sting's supposed to show up at some point. That'll be interesting. I can't wait for that. But I probably won't be until after Royal Rumble, though.
Well, there's those rumors going around that he's going to be on Raw this Monday night. Of course, those rumors were there last week and the week before that, and the week before that.
Day after
Because
SummerSlam.
I think
that's
those rumors
just what
were
people
there.
want.
Yeah.
kind of like CM Punk returning. People want to see it, so of course those rumors are going to be there.
I think those rumors date back to when WCW was still in.
Sting will be there tomorrow night on Nitro. No, he won't. But I actually heard an interesting thing. I heard a rumor, and TNA denies it. But I'm sorry, TNA. If you actually didn't do this, then you're an idiot because you obviously are about to lose your TV deal, and you know that CM Punk's the biggest star out there. So if you didn't offer him anything, even though you offered Ocho Del Rio something, then you're an idiot. But anyway, I heard a rumor that TNA went to CM Punk and said, "Hey, listen, we have a Hulk Hogan size offer for you. You can be our main guy on TNA. Come in." And basically, CM Punk said, "No, I'm all set, thanks." So that means one of two things: he sees TNA for what it really is, or he's really retired. So, but I can't see. I don't know what CM Punk's opinion is. We invited him here to plead his case, but out of the 12 people,
He's a busy guy.
But out of the 12 people who listened to our last one, nobody got the message to him. So I'll invite you again, CM Punk. You can come on Card Artist anytime. Come over to my house, sit in my office, drink my beer. Well, actually, he doesn't drink, so sorry about that. I'm sure I can get you some Pepsi.
We have water.
And Pepsi. I'm sure we can get him some Pepsi.
Yes, that too.
And I'm still confused.
What do you?
I mean, who doesn't love TNA?
It depends on the context you're putting it in. When you're referring to total nonstop action wrestling,
you mean Impact Wrestling?
There's a lot of people.
Yeah, I had potential.
I think that the Juggalo Wrestling, whatever they call themselves, has a stronger fan base, but that basically comes down to the number of people that like the Insane Clown Posse, as opposed to the people who don't like the fact that TNA's owners are basically running that company into the ground. And I won't name names, but anyone familiar with TNA knows exactly who I'm talking about.
Yes. But what's funny is because I know it used to be Jeff Jarrett. He was one of the principal owners of it. Used to be. He's not anymore. I heard he's actually trying to start a new show. I mean, you had Eric Bischoff running it for a while, which is probably the smartest thing they ever did, but he's not running that anymore. Hulk Hogan's gone back to WWE. I was like, well, you let Hulk Hogan go, but Hulk Hogan's one of those people.
Who else was going to help Coleman Mania to run wild?
I know Hulk Hogan, though. I know whenever he signs a contract, he has kind of a creative control clause. So, I mean, I've heard rumors they can be difficult to work with because I know that was a big problem in WCW, but we could talk for another half an hour about who is responsible for the downfall of WCW, but I don't feel like talking about that.
If I was a big superstar wrestler in like my later years, watching what is happening with the wrestling industry, I'd be difficult to work with too.
And I would certainly want to maintain creative control of my character and anything I'm going to do.
Yeah. But what's funny? We were also discussing this earlier before we started this, that if I was a wrestler...
We have many discussions.
If I was a wrestler and you told me, hey, listen, you're going to main event against Stone Cold Steve Austin or Hulk Hogan or Triple H, you're not going to win, but you're going to main event with them, I'd be happy. I mean, you're looking from a business point of view, because especially in wrestling, if you appreciate the art of wrestling, it's not always about who wins and who loses. It's about the match. Because I remember Stone Cold Steve Austin became the big star that he is when he lost to Bret Hart. They had a match, and Bret Hart, he had Stone Cold had his head busted open, and he was in the sharpshooter, and he actually passed out. He didn't quit. He didn't tap out. He didn't give up. He passed out. But the next night on Raw, people were like, this guy's really good. I mean, even though he lost to Bret Hart.
And that became the rallying cry, too, was the fact that he didn't tap out. That became something that people could get behind this guy who may not have won his match, but at the same time, he showed what he's made of.
Yeah.
I don't want to get further into that, and I also don't want to get into the backstage politics simply because I have certain opinions on certain people. I will just say out of the three people that you named, only one of them would be likely to actually put a guy over if they got put in a match with them. So you might say, oh, hey, you're going to main event this match against Triple H, or you're going to main event against Stone Cold Steve Austin, or you're going to main event against Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And that would be really, really great for a guy who's struggling to make a name for himself, who's started to develop a fan base. But at the same time, only one of those guys is really known for putting other guys over, whereas the other two are kind of like, no, I don't want to do that. And they have that kind of attitude that other people are known for, where at the same time, it's like the new guy might go out and put on an amazing show and then linger in the mid card for several years, like Dolph Ziggler, The Miz,
CM
Jack
Punk.
Swagger, CM Punk. Well, CM Punk established a name before he even came to WWE.
Kind of, yeah.
Like they headhunted people like him, but you've got these mid card guys who are really main event players, but we've got to keep them out of the main event because we have to have room for the John Cenas and the Randy Ortons and the returning part timers that we're going to put a belt around their waist and let them go on vacation for 3 months.
Well, you know what's funny is a good example is Monday Night Raw this past week. Thank you, Vivi.
Merci, Fifi.
Merci, Fifi. But earlier, I believe it was last week on Raw, there was a match. It was Dolph Ziggler versus Randy Orton. The match was amazing. But at the end, Randy Orton won. And I remember watching that match. I was like, yo, Dolph, because even the fans were doing a "This is awesome" chant. It was just a great match. And Randy Orton won. I get why he won, but as a part of me, it was almost like, should Dolph Ziggler have won that match? But on the same token, like I just said, sometimes you don't have to win the match to get your message across.
So before this, before we have to change the, name of the podcast, maybe we should
Move on. Okay.
Oh, Art's trying to get us back on track. I have just one last thing to say on WWE Sucks, and then we can move on. Actually, I guess two things to say, because one, I think that's a much better abbreviation. It's less of a mouthful. Two, having a guy like Dolph Ziggler put on a show like that in the middle of the ring shows why guys like that should be considered for main event positions. And Grant, you can throw out this guy's had this title before, this guy's had that title before, but when you give somebody a title at a pay-per-view and then have them drop it the next night to the person they won it from, you take credibility away from that title, and it's kind of like, yeah, this guy might have been this champion, but hey, you know what? David Arquette was once the WCW World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah.
You can't put the level of stock in that title anymore because it's been handed around so many times that it loses its meaning.
And the other thing,
so you have these guys in the mid card who do a really great job, and they get stuck there because people are too afraid to take a chance on them.
And one more thing before we change, something that always bugged me about the title belts, using them as a weapon. When you take a belt and knock somebody out with it, I feel like that kind of taints the championship.
It dents the belt too.
Well, I mean, they have plenty of belts,
It's not
but
good for the finish.
every time I've seen that, it's like, why are you using that? That's not what it's for. I understand it's wrestling. Anything can be a weapon. I get that. But when you take the WCW Championship out, anyway, maybe 10 years ago, actually, God, how long have they been gone? 13 years maybe? They went out in 2001.
Been about 13 years, almost 14.
Yeah, so 13 years. So, but anyway, but when you take the title and just hit someone over the face with it, it's like that's what you're striving to achieve, and you just use it as a weapon. But like I said, that's just my opinion.
At least they didn't spray paint it or create something that spins.
Yeah. You know what's funny is the NWO spray painted belt did not bother me as much as the spinner belt did.
I don't think it bothered anybody as much as the other one did. But what's our next topic? What are we on to now?
Okay. This.
Huh? Who? What?
Wake up, Art.
Art by DH. Beer. Anyway, I am currently looking at cosplay pictures from the ever so popular, and I did not mean that sarcastically, I really wish I had gone, New York Comic-Con. I don't know why I always want to say New York City Comic-Con. New York Comic-Con.
Because you just want to throw an extra C in there.
Well, there's NYCC, so you automatically think New York City Comic. Oh, wait. Anyway.
Wait, that's not enough letters.
This past weekend, now, this is being recorded on October 18th, so I'm talking about the previous weekend, was New York Comic-Con. Which I heard broke some of San Diego's records, like with how many people attended.
I heard that too.
And
that's awesome.
That's also a discussion we were having earlier about whether or not, because it seems like San Diego Comic-Con has become, I say become, it's kind of always been, that's the Comic-Con people announce, here's the trailer for Godzilla, here's the trailer for Avengers, that's the big Comic-Con, everybody releases that. How long until you start seeing that in New York? When New York starts becoming one of the central focusing... I mean, it kind of already is the East Coast equivalent to San Diego Comic-Con.
Well, and I think that's what we need. Because the big problem is, I mean, we're all in, we're as far onto the East Coast as you can get without actually being in the water.
Is that why my shoes are wet?
Probably, but
Okay.
let's face it. I mean, it's no small expenditure for us to just go to a con like that, and on the other side of the United States, let alone like bring set up a table there.
Hell, well, I've already come to the conclusion we will never have a table at San Diego or probably even New York Comic Con. Just for the sheer fact of, I mean, we live in Massachusetts, people, and just getting all of our merchandise down to New York.
We could do it.
Yeah,
It took me 3 suitcases just to go to Granite State Comic Con.
yeah.
I would need my own plane to get to San Diego.
But
And I don't have that many costumes.
But something I heard from New York Comic Con that I thought was hysterical, and I know we've talked about this before.
You can still go.
George Clooney was there, and he publicly apologized for bat nipples.
It's about time, George.
Well, I won't say he apologized for bat nipples. Schumacher did apologize for that.
Joel Schumacher apologized and still has a long road of apologies and groveling and making amends to go.
But George Clooney did apologize for Batman and Robin. And you know something? It's not his fault.
The ball's in your court now, Mr. Kilmer.
I just want to know who's going to apologize for Batfleck.
Oh, no, you know something?
Jennifer Garner.
Oh, she needs to apologize for Daredevil.
It's the only apology I would accept, and she can apologize for Daredevil at the same time, but it's still not forgiven until Colin Farrell apologizes.
I still say wait for Batman vs Superman to come out. I reserve judgment. Like, you know what? Everybody says, oh, Batfleck is going to be terrible. I think he's going to be awesome, so let's wait and see.
Well, people use the Heath Ledger argument. When Heath Ledger was announced as the Joker, everybody said, oh, no, that guy can't do it. He's not right for the part. And then he blew everybody's minds away. And that's true. Heath Ledger did that.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Affleck is not Heath Ledger.
No, he's not. But I don't think everybody should... Because you know what the funny thing is, and it's the same with Star Wars and everything else.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Everybody's going to sit there and say, oh, Ben Affleck is Batman. That's a stupid idea, but they're all going to be sitting in that movie theater waiting to see what he can do.
I'm terrified. I've said it on a couple of podcasts before. I'm terrified of the idea of Star Wars Episode 7, but I will be right there in line with everybody else buying my ticket.
Exactly. So.
And something? I don't dislike Ben Affleck. I think he's a good actor.
Plus, Boston represent.
Yeah, absolutely. But he was not my
first choice.
I don't think he was even in the running.
7th choice.
I don't
15th choice.
Never even considered him as Batman.
You know what's funny is I could agree with that, but when I stop and think, who would I get to play Batman? I can't think of anybody. I mean, if I really thought about it, I probably could. My first thought would be like, you know what? Just get Christian Bale back. Just make it that universe. But obviously, we can't, of course. But
Christian Bale did an awesome job.
He did. But that actually, I do want to talk about Gotham, but I'll get into that later. I want to talk about a few things like that.
On one little Batman note, I saw a magazine cover, but I haven't had a chance to look this up. Michael Keaton is playing Birdman?
Yes.
Yes, and that actually is an independent film that just opened in select theaters yesterday. I'm very eager for it to open nationwide and for people to see it.
You know what?
Birdman.
He just actually released. He I don't know if he did an interview or whatever, but he actually just admitted that the reason he didn't come back for Batman Forever, not because he was busy, but because he thought the script sucked.
Can anyone really disagree with that, though? Joel Schumacher sure didn't.
I know, right? But they offered him $15 million to come back as Batman, and he was like, no, the script sucks.
I think they would have given him stately Wayne Manor, a fully operational Batmobile, and a fully operational bat suit to get him to come back, and I don't think he would have accepted that offer.
And there would not have been bat nipples.
But it's just, I feel like with Batman Forever, and don't get me wrong, Batman Forever is not as bad as Batman and Robin, but it just took such a left turn from the first two. Like, Gotham was this dark...
It took a left turn, and then Batman and Robin took another left turn straight into a wall.
Yeah.
And
then
forgot
off
to
a cliff.
deploy that grappler to drive up the wall in time.
But it's like they changed directors, they changed the style of Gotham, they changed the soundtrack. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, I was all excited when you see the trailer for it.
We're caving into parents, is what they were doing.
And I gotta tell you, okay, I loved Michael Keaton's Batmobile.
Yes, I think everybody loves Michael Keaton's Batmobile.
Okay,
But
Val Kilmer's Batmobile was and George Clooney's Batmobile was a kid's fun ride that you find outside of a supermarket that they took and
it looked like the
Hey,
kid.
you know what? For 50 cents, that was a fun ride,
No.
all right?
But all kidding aside, you know, the Batman and Robin Batmobile, it looked like the kids' fun ride version of the Michael Keaton Batmobile.
yeah.
Like, it was that kind of look, but it was a one-seater. It didn't have the top. It had this weird spinny thing. I was like, what are we doing?
See, I don't think Batman would drive around in a car without a top because with how many people he has probably ticked off in his career, he'd get shot faster than
Yeah, he can't
Kennedy.
He can't bring ladies back to the Batcave if they don't fit in his car.
Yeah, Deadshot and Deathstroke bouncing bullets off each other trying to snipe them.
Yeah, and then Deadpool would show up just to,
Just to confuse everybody and be entertaining.
he'd shoot Batman, but then go up and shake his dead hand and say, "It's a real honor."
It's
But,
such a great honor to meet you. Let's go watch Star Wars 7.
Oh.
Man, that was awful. You go get back in your Batmobile, Batman.
Yeah, actually, you know what's
you're
funny?
starting to rot and smell. I'm sorry.
We were at King Richard's Fair earlier today, and it was the Tiger.
And they're broke.
Yeah, but the Tiger Show people used the Darth Vader theme there.
And they got quite an applause for
They
that.
did. They came out. It's like, okay, that was a terrible applause. Let's try that again. And they came back out with the.
It does not speak well for the Rebel Alliance at all.
Hey, people like to root for the bad guy. But getting back to New York Comic Con though, there was one costume I do want to talk about that I saw. This guy dressed up, and I tried to find a picture. I don't know if he's on here. A guy dressed up as, for lack of a better term, Johnny Depp. And what I mean by that is he was dressed as
He
Jack
was very
Sparrow.
bohemian looking.
He was dressed as Jack Sparrow with the Tonto Crow in his hair, while wearing one of Edward Scissorhands' hands, while wearing the glasses I think was from, what was the name of the movie? The sunglasses.
Which one? Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
It might have been that. He also had the socks and the shoes from the Mad Hatter.
And of course, he was munching on Gilbert's grapes.
Yes. So it was just such an interesting costume. Like, wow. I mean, he threw all that together. The Penguin. Right there, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Art,
a bunch
that
of the
is
cast
the Penguin.
from Gotham were there. Patrick Stewart was there. Manu Bennett was there, who's just amazing.
Jumping back for a second, it wasn't just Patrick Stewart that was there. It was the bridge crew of the Enterprise D.
Yes.
Nice.
Jonathan Frakes was there.
Jonathan Frakes, Marina
Michael
Sirtis,
Dorn.
Michael Dorn, Brent Spiner, even Will Wheaton.
Q
and
was
his
there.
magnificent
John
beard.
Delancey?
Yeah, John Delancey was there.
Yes, Q was there as well, representing my own species, the Q Continuum.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Hey, I have a question.
Yes.
I want definitive proof that the Time Lords are not members of the Q Continuum. If you can provide that, then I will withdraw my
Can you
statement.
snap your fingers and make stuff appear?
Oh, look, I found a beer.
I've caught up on Gotham.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Gordon's girlfriend.
Don't know who she is.
You know, because I swear to God, she looks like I've seen her somewhere before.
Yeah, I was saying the same thing, and when I went and checked, I couldn't find her from anything.
Mm.
Spoiler alert! In Gotham, Commissioner
It
Gordon has a
rules.
girlfriend named Barbara.
Spoiler alert, Gotham is awesome.
Yes, it is.
Even bigger spoiler alert, that kid, he's going to become Batman.
And spoiler...
Biggest spoiler alert of all, there is a GT out front that looks like it's had a lot of work done.
What?
Oh, no, we're not talking about that kind of spoiler? Oh, okay.
Okay. Somebody just went from nerd to cars, and we don't like
We went to car nerds.
it.
People like car nerds.
But,
Hey,
no, but...
kid.
What?
Cars and nerds. Kit.
Yeah, that's the link between... That's what...
Just
Yeah.
don't pour nerds in your car. It does not go well.
But, Personally, though,
Legos too.
Talking about Gotham, because I'm looking at a picture right here. The kid who plays the Penguin, I think, is amazing.
Oh yeah.
And if you didn't see it, it'll bring me to my next category. Is he was actually made a quick cameo on the season premiere of Walking Dead,
Yes, reprising his role from a prior episode of The Walking Dead.
where his girlfriend, who had a tattoo on her leg, got eaten by zombies.
It was
Spoiler alert.
tragic. There were many feels.
But that's another thing. I mean, you didn't catch You don't watch Walking Dead. That's right.
No, I've still got 2 other seasons to catch up
Yeah.
on.
This is why we don't talk to Art about these things.
Yes.
But I can't catch up on Walking Dead right now because it's cutting into my Gotham, Arrow, Flash.
Oh, there's more.
There is more.
Oh, Big Bang Theory's back.
Yeah,
And
Big Bang Theory.
I know there's a lot of nerds out there actually hate Big Bang Theory because it makes nerds look bad or whatever. I like it, so
I
it's
don't
good.
think it makes nerds look bad at all. All right, we do a perfectly good job of that all by ourselves.
Yeah, we make ourselves look bad.
I work very hard to look bad.
Yes.
That's another thing. Flash. So far, I mean, it's only 2 episodes. I'm impressed.
I love it.
I've got to be honest, I have not started watching it yet.
Really?
I've been
Hulu.
busy catching up on Arrow because I've been a whole season behind waiting for the second season to come out.
Yep.
I'm working on getting to The Flash as quickly as possible, though, because I have reached the halfway point in season 2 of Arrow. I'm beyond that point now. I've seen Barry Allen. Now I want to see The Flash.
It's so far, like I said, the first 2 episodes have been really, really good. I just think it's so cool because the original Flash,
Yes.
he plays Barry Allen's father in this.
I love that. That's a nice.
You know, and it's funny because I remember I was watching it with my wife, and she was talking about, I love how they haven't changed the costumes much. And I loaded up what he wore back in the '90s, and it's basically the same costume. It's different material, different shade of red, but it's basically the same. It's the Flash. You look at him, it's like, yeah, that's the Flash. And Arrow, why can't I remember his name?
Oliver Queen.
Well, yes, but that's his character's name.
You're referring to the actor?
Yeah.
Stephen Amell.
Well, yeah, but technically the character, he actually does, spoiler alert, he makes a cameo appearance in the first episode of Flash.
Well, I feel like since Arrow was the jumping ground for Flash to spin off,
Yes.
that only makes sense.
But that's interesting because I feel like, because I've watched the first 2 episodes of Arrow and I've watched the first 2 episodes of Flash, and they're not necessarily connected. It's like you don't have to watch one to figure out the other. But I feel like they're going to be. Like there's going to be events that happen in Flash that affects Arrow and events in Arrow that affect Flash. So it's almost like you have to kind of, you don't have to, but you kind of need to watch both to know the full story.
Right. It seems like they're kind of setting up to have kind of crossover episodes. There are rumors that there have been a few Green Arrow Easter eggs in Gotham as well. So it's a
I've heard
question
that.
of will that end up getting tied in?
Perhaps. But you know what's funny about Gotham? Now, like I said, I like it. It's caught my attention. I enjoy it. But here's my problem. This is a show we're going to watch probably for years, and we're never going to see Batman.
That is a problem. That can be a problem, but it really depends on how they play it out. Because so far, the primary focus has been more on the character of Jim Gordon, who, for pretty much the entire history of the Batman mythos, has been a supporting character.
Yes.
So making him kind of the star of the show is really an interesting new way to tell the tale of Gotham City.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, granted, we may never see an adult Batman. We may never see some characters that we really want to see, but we're going to see this tale of Jim Gordon.
And I'm fine with that. I'm looking forward to that. But my problem is here you are. You're going to spend probably multiple seasons just setting up this Gotham. You're setting up all these characters, and we basically never find out what this world's version of Batman will be.
You never know.
By that same token, though, yeah, we might never find out what this world's version of Batman is going to be. But take a look going back at Smallville, and love it or hate it, Smallville was not about Superman. Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't watched the show, you don't actually get to see Superman in the blue and the red and the gold. You don't get to see that character until the tail end of the series.
Yeah.
Which ran for 10 seasons, if I'm not mistaken.
But my problem with Smallville, and I may have said this before,
There are many.
Well, I never actually watched it, and nothing against it. I know a lot of people love it. I can never get into it. The problem I have with it is, okay, you brought in Supergirl, you brought in Green Arrow.
Yeah.
You brought in a lot of
Flash was
characters.
in one episode.
Yeah, you brought in,
Actually, it was in a few episodes. Cyborg was even in a couple of episodes.
and you brought in all these characters. Basically, you went too far before Superman.
And that was the problem that Smallville ran into, is that they focused for so long on young high school Clark Kent, played by 40-year-old Tom Welling, because that makes sense. But hey, you know what? He pulled it off. He made it work.
Mm-hmm.
He did.
Let's not cast him in Man of Steel, though, because he's only spent 10 years preparing for it. But they took so long to set that up that you ended up getting introduced to a different Oliver Queen Green Arrow.
Yes.
You ended up getting introduced to a different Barry Allen. On Smallville, I think he was called Bart Allen.
Yeah.
And he was a lot more of a punk.
I hate it when they do that.
Well, Ivy Pepper, don't get me started.
Yeah.
But that's all I'm going to say on that. But you've got this show that really ran for so long trying to avoid the eventuality that they really ran themselves into the ground. They screwed themselves up and over in the process, because it's like, hey, we've got to do something to keep this show fresh. What should we do? Let's throw Green Arrow in there. Let's throw the Flash in there. Let's throw Cyborg in there. Let's throw Aquaman in there. Granted, Aquaman was thrown in an effort, like with Arrow and the Flash, it was thrown in to try and get a spin-off of the Arthur Curry Aquaman character, and it's just that it didn't take off.
Well, that's because Aquaman sucks.
Aquaman is like
he's like the Scooter of the Justice League. No.
Exactly. I have to go feed my dog.
But yeah.
Sorry, Raj.
No, but and that's just it, and that's why I could never get into Smallville. Because the thing that bugged me about Smallville, and I may be a hypocrite, because I knew this going into Gotham, but I don't know, I love the Batman universe, and I'll tell you what sold me on Gotham is when they said the Joker will be in it. But the thing and that's just why it's so hard for me to get into Smallville now and go back and watch it, is because it's like you started bringing in the Justice League before Superman was even Superman. Yeah. And that just did it for me. That's just They
even went so far as to form the Justice League before he was even Superman, which kind of just flew in the face of everything everybody knew. And they kept the primary focus on the Clark Kent character, whereas Gotham, like I said, has kind of differentiated itself by not focusing on Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne's a supporting character on the show. He's not front and center in every episode, dealing with his parents' deaths and dealing with Gordon trying to find out who killed him and why. He's not even aware of the fact that his butler, Alfred, is actually the son of the Doctor, which is really interesting in and of itself, but that's a separate issue altogether. Clarification, Sean Pertwee is the actor who plays Alfred on Gotham, and he's the son of John Pertwee, the third Doctor.
Oh,
really?
God.
I never knew that.
Me neither.
Little fun nerd fact for anyone still listening.
But the difference is between Gotham and Smallville is, okay, you start with, like you said, Bruce Wayne is a child. You know he's not Batman. He's not going to be Batman until later. But you still have the same potential issues. Like, for example, they said Joker will be in the show. And they're going to do it very carefully. Okay, here's the problem. Now, it may not be a big problem, but let's just go back to the origins of the Joker. Now, there's different versions. There's some versions, and I'll give you two examples, The Dark Knight and Arkham Origins, where Joker was not created by Batman. He's this person who has no past, no ID, who almost is like a force of nature. He just showed up one day. But most versions are Joker is created because of a mistake Batman made.
But I think a lot of people, focus on that particular origin of the Joker mainly because of what happened, like the original Batman movie, Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Jack Napier dumped into the acid, becomes the Joker.
Killing Joke came out. I may be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. Killing Joke came out before that.
I think you're right.
I'm pretty sure you're right, by a couple of years. It's not a huge gap in between.
Because I remember
Batman was 89, right?
Yeah,
The
original Tim Burton Batman.
Tim Burton, the Michael Keaton Batman movie
Yeah.
was 1989. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the Killing Joke was either 88 or 87.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was because the way they did the movie, he fell into acid, and before Killing Joke, nobody knew where the Joker came from. They never explained. Once again, I could be wrong about this. Here's the difference between me and a lot of other people. I'll actually admit when I'm wrong. But I don't think they ever really explained the Joker's actual origin before the Killing Joke.
That's been a long-running thing in the series, though. Nobody really knows the Joker's true origin story. Taking out New 52 and retconning and Golden Age, Silver Age, all this other stuff, the Joker's origin has always been a mystery, and the creators and the writers and artists and all that have really played into that mystery.
They have.
And I looked it up just because I needed to know for sure. Killing Joke, 1988,
Okay.
Year before.
delved into that origin more than pretty much any other comic before it, and most of anything after it. Anything that's ever reinvented the Joker hasn't focused on his origin the way the Killing Joke did.
Well, the other thing is too, is like in Arkham City, there's these audio tapes you listen to, interviews with him with Hugo Strange, and I don't even think the Joker remembers exactly how it happened because he said in the Killing Joke, sometimes I remember it one way, sometimes another, and if I'm going to have a pass, I prefer it to be multiple choice. And if you ever watch The Dark Knight, people, here's a little fun fact for you. When you see the Joker, like at the beginning, he says, "Oh, I got these scars because my dad did them." Then later on, he says, "Oh, but I did these scars to myself to make my wife feel better." He's not doing that to screw with people. He's doing that because every single time you ask him, he remembers it differently. That's just how screwed up his brain is.
Right, it's a psychological thing with him where he doesn't actually remember it anymore. He could remember it 18 different ways in the span of 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But you know what I like about the whole what they're doing with Gotham is in what, like 4 episodes, I think, 4 or 5 episodes we've had so far.
4 episodes coming up on 5.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
They have left so many. They have left so many openings. So you've run into just a couple of people who possibly could have been the Joker.
Well, here's one thing that bugs me about Gotham, and I don't know. I won't say necessarily spoiler alert, but just in case, spoiler alert. In a few episodes, there have been these things where, like in the past episode, there was this girl trying out to be the singer at a nightclub, and everybody's like, "Oh, her lips were red" because they're trying to throw a thing about Harley Quinn. I'm like, so everybody with red lipstick is going to be a throw to Harley Quinn? Like, and then, oh, there were these girls dancing in the street who looked like they could have been clowns. That's a throw to Harley Quinn. It's just, okay. And they could be doing things like that to say, oh, here's just a little teaser of this person or teaser of that person. But I feel like we're reaching here because I feel like every episode, oh, did you notice this? Did you notice that? Did you notice that? And half of them I read, I'm like, no, I didn't notice that because it's not worth noticing. Like the first episode, spoiler alert, there was this guy trying out to be a comedian who, when you saw it, the joke he told and all this stuff, you're like, I bet you that's the Joker.
Yeah, it wasn't an overly funny joke. He was very nervous about his set, and it plays into one of the Joker's origin stories almost perfectly.
But I think I think that they'll keep doing that. They'll throw these little bits in there for the Joker. But the problem is people take that too far, and every single they're seeing, like, we're seeing unidentified flying Harleys everywhere, and Pamela Isleys, and
Well, the thing you said,
Well, that's the thing, is like she's not Pamela Isley on the show. They've actually, by all reports from like the Gotham camp, they've introduced the character that will become Poison Ivy as the daughter of the person framed for the murder of Thomas and Martha Wayne, a child named Ivy Pepper.
yes,
That was my Ivy Pepper reference from earlier.
But
But at the
playing
same
with
time,
plants.
the Gotham camp has flat out said they intend to tease the Joker in numerous episodes. They intend to throw little Easter eggs like the comedian struggling on stage into a number of episodes to give red herrings and false leads and all this other stuff.
So you really don't know.
Right, you really don't know when the Joker's going to make an appearance, but they're building up, and they're trying to build up the tension and the excitement for it because they want it to be big. the concern that I have in regards to that is, are they going to fall flat on their faces?
Well, you know what I find funny is I was looking at that comedian in the first episode, and I may be biased, but all I could think of is because I'm looking at Jada Pinkett Smith's character, Fish Mooney, the Falcones and the Maroni and the Penguin, and they're all building up the food chain, trying to Penguin's trying to become a big name in Gotham, and there's a gang war, and the Riddler's there, Poison Ivy's there, and the funniest thing I can think of is this guy. This struggling comedian on stage is going to make them all look like idiots as soon as he comes to power. And that's what's great about the Joker. And I remember I was reading an article about Arkham Knight. They're saying how in Arkham Knight, which is a new game coming out next year, is all these people like the Penguin and Two-Face, there's nobody there to screw things up. There's no when the Joker was alive. Spoiler alert: he supposedly dies in Arkham City, but he kept people from joining together because he's the type of person who he's the top dog in Gotham, and if he hears Two-Face and Penguin are working together, he'll find a way to make them turn on each other. And that's what I find funny about Gotham is I see that, and I saw that guy, and it may not be that guy, but I'm like, once the Joker comes to Gotham, Fish Mooney trying to overthrow Falcone and Maroni and Falcone feuding with each other, the Penguin trying to rise to power, doesn't mean a damn thing because the Joker's there now. And like I said, I might be biased because I'm a huge Joker fan, but that's just what the Joker is. He's the top dog.
Yeah, you people can't see the entire wall of Joker memorabilia.
It's quite impressive, and I'm gonna posit the theory again that maybe we should do a video podcast at some point. So
I would
people can
love
see
to.
this den of nerddom that we live in with tributes to Harley Quinn and the Joker and
Deathstroke and Deadpool.
Godzilla and Deathstroke and Deadpool.
Yeah, the room we do our little con artist thing in here every month.
It's Nerdvana.
I mean, it'd be safe to say that we're all nerds.
Yes, we are. But whatever does happen, though, I'm looking forward to where Gotham goes. I know I'm already into it. However, you know what series I've kind of lost interest in as of now? Season 2, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, the first season, I lost interest halfway through, but I DVR'd every episode. Then I went and caught up, and I was like, wow, it actually got really good. But so far, I watched the first episode of Season 2, and I have them all on my DVR, but I just have had no desire to watch the other episodes.
I have been watching. I've been on demanding each episode as I miss it, because I unfortunately work at night, so when all this stuff is on at night, such is my life. But
I feel your pain on that one.
Yeah. So it but I have been watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and it's starting off slow, but the thing is they chose to make this tied into all the Marvel Avengers universes, all the Avengers based movies, all Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is hooked into all of them, so it kind of has to go where those movies go.
And it has to lead where they want to lead those movies.
Yeah,
too.
I think there's a rhyme to this I think there's reason to this madness, and I think it'll...
But you know what's interesting is, the last Marvel movie that came out in this universe was Guardians of the Galaxy, and as of right now, S.H.I.E.L.D. and Guardians will not have any link. You know what I mean? Not until after Avengers 3. And that Avengers 3 is the next movie coming out. That's not coming out till later next year. So it's almost like, what can we do?
They haven't done Avengers 2 yet.
Yeah,
You're ahead of yourself.
I am Avengers.
You got to worry about those timelines, keeping things in order.
I had a
Beginning,
dream,
middle, end, in that order.
I had a dream last night that I was breaking into a facility with Torchwood with a sonic screwdriver, and I was about to get killed by a robot. So I called the doctor, who, for some reason in the dream, I still remembered as... I knew him as David Tennant. I remembered him as Matt Smith. I had his number, so I called him to say, listen, we had some good times. I'm about to die. Thank you. And all of a sudden, he rescues me. Then I'm traveling with Clara and the new doctor. It was a pretty cool dream, actually.
The weird thing was that Chris Eccleston was the one that showed up.
Nothing wrong with Chris Eccleston's take on the doctor. But, yeah, so Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I have more recorded. I'm sure I'll hear something cool happen. I'll binge watch and catch up.
Well, I'm about to have neither of you talk to me for the next 5 minutes or so. I have not finished the first season of Agents of Shield yet. That's because, like Art, by Dan H, I work nights, and when Agents of Shield premiered, I was in my off season. I was able to watch the first few episodes. Then I went back to work. Haven't been able to watch an episode since.
Yeah.
And between Netflix, Hulu, on demand, and everything else that's out there, without getting into the shadowy part of things, I have not been able to watch the first season, the remaining part of the first season. I don't want to start the second season until I finish the first season.
Oh, understandable.
That's why I still haven't seen the newest episodes of Arrow. I haven't seen The Flash. I'm trying to catch up on Arrow so that I can start Arrow and Flash and just be in real time with everything, which is still
Well,
awful because now you have to wait a week for the new episodes
kinda
rather
cheated.
than just
What do you cheat on?
binge watching everything.
Because I'm still in the process of watching the. I watched Arrow season 2. I watched Arrow season 2, episode 8, 9, 10, and 11.
Yep.
When they were on, I missed like 1 through 7, and so I'm still trying to catch up all on Arrow season 2, but I did cheat and watch the first episode of Arrow season 3, and I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, but I didn't see that coming.
No, I didn't either. I almost mentioned that something big
Happens.
does happen in the first episode of Arrow, and I watched the second episode, and they're kind of dealing with the aftermath of it, without giving too much away.
I have to watch the second episode tonight.
Yeah, I've been watching it regularly. It's weird because Flash is on Tuesday, and I think Arrow's on Wednesday. But but it's still keeping me interested, And I hear like they want to link Gotham and Flash. I'm sorry, Gotham and Arrow together. But what I'm wondering is if they do that, is Gotham happening right now in Arrow, or is Gotham happening like 10 years ago, and Arrow is current? You know what I mean?
I think they got to be very careful when they do that because you got to figure. I mean, Bruce Wayne's what, like 13 years old,
Yeah.
something like that. So
Well, I know the actor who plays him is 13. Whether or not Bruce is 13 or 12, I'm
Well,
not sure.
let's assume he's 12, 13, somewhere in there. So you got to figure by time the earliest he could probably be Batman would be like, 18, 19 years old.
Well, and that's you're getting back to Gotham. I keep thinking to myself, are we going to see, for lack of a better term, proto Batman? Like, are we going to see him like put on a ski mask and a suit and start, what becomes Batman?
You know what I want to know? And just because this is something, I'm a big fan of the old Batman the Animated Series, and if anybody says anything bad about that, I will smack you. I will drive to your house and slap you. Mark Hamill is a great Joker, and oh my God, his name just blanked out of my head.
Ooh, Kevin Conroy?
Kevin Conroy was an awesome Batman.
Speaking of which, they were, well, not Mark Hamill, but Kevin Conroy and Troy Baker, who's the new Joker, were both at New York City Comic Con.
But
Bastards.
being a fan of the old Batman, and this is kind of obscure, but I kind of wonder if they'll maybe throw a little something in Gotham. I could be stretching here. I could be stretching here, but the Gray Ghost.
That would actually be really interesting to throw into the Gotham mythos.
Yeah.
And actually see a live action Grey Ghost tie-in episode.
I think that would be cool.
Well, you know what's funny is I think they need to figure out if Gotham and Arrow are connected or not. Because you know who I would love to see in Gotham, and it bugs me because if they're not connected, then they won't get the same guy to play him. But I would love to see their take on Deathstroke. I mean, he was. I think Manu Bennett as him in Arrow was amazing. I'm going. If you come to Rhode Island Comic Con, there's going to be a Deathstroke walking around with me under there, and that's thanks to Manu Bennett because he got me back in the Deathstroke.
Also, John Wesley Shipp will be there, the original Flash.
Oh, cool.
Along with other superheroes, Lou Ferrigno, and I apologize because the rest of them are escaping my mind. I was too focused on John Wesley Shipp.
I don't get to make my Deadpool debut until Super Mega Fest, or what is it called now?
Oh, New England Super Mega Fest.
Yeah.
And Comic Con.
So.
But speaking of conventions, though, this weekend, I mean, if you hear this podcast, No, actually, you probably won't hear it in time. But going on this weekend,
You probably won't hear it at all.
going on this weekend right now is Rock and Shock, which is a great horror show. It's not a convention I usually set up shop at. But I've actually met some pretty cool guys. I actually met Kane Hodder there. That was a good time. That was when he punched me in the chest.
Yep. Left a bruise for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I have a crooked rib cage now because of him. But he's a cool guy. But Rock and Shock's a great music and horror convention. I don't, like I said, we don't really carry a lot of horror stuff. I mean, TerraCon, we had to struggle against some stuff. And TerraCon was a good time, but TerraCon still was a lot of horror and comic. Rock and Shock is very music, horror. If you're into that kind of stuff, I mean, it's a great convention. I mean, if you get a chance to check it out because it's a good time. Our friends Mike Doherty and Andy Driscoll there in Artist Alley, go check them out. They do a great artwork.
But you know something?
What's that?
Because we're pretty much running out of what's left of 2014. But you know something? We should plan. Because there are certain shows like Rock and Shock. Probably not going to ever do Rock and Shock because we don't carry that much horror stuff, and it wouldn't be. I've considered doing Rock and Shock because a lot of my artwork does pertain to that genre.
Yes.
But we ought to like New York Comic Con, Rock and Shock, Granite State. I know you've been to Granite State. Oh, that's right, you did go
I went this year.
Okay. We should check. We should go and check these shows out because if for
I'd
no other
love
reason.
to.
If for no other reason,
Well, last night my wife and I talked about going to Rock and Shock because she wanted to meet. I can't remember his name. What is it?
John Ratzenberger.
John Ratzenberger, who, if you remember him from Cheers, he also plays a voice in every Pixar movie ever made. And I told my wife about that. She got all excited. However, we didn't want to drive to Worcester, after we all got home from work on Friday night. So it didn't happen.
People who live in Worcester don't want to drive to Worcester. I'm sorry, Worcester, but it's true.
See, the problem with Worcester is it's really not that far away, but here's the problem. I gotta go south, then north, then west to get there. So it takes me like an hour and a half to get there. And it's only, 50 miles away? But yeah, so if you get a chance to check it out, go for it. It's a great show. You just gotta, if you're into that kind of stuff. Our next show is Rhode Island Comic Con, which is November 1st and 2nd at the, it's still called the Providence Civic Center, right? They didn't change the name of that place, right?
I don't think they've changed the name of it. I know
it's part of the Dunk, the Dunkin'
it's
Donuts
part of
Center.
the Dunkin' Donuts Center.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not. The Dunk was the Providence Civic Center. This is the Providence Convention Center.
Yes, right next to the Dunkin' Donuts.
It's right next to the Dunkin' Center. That's an amazing show. They have some great guests there this year. I mean, William Shatner,
Yeah, they are focusing very heavily on the original series of Star Trek. They're focusing very heavily on the TV show Supernatural.
Yep, a lot of some of the original Power Rangers are going to be there.
Walking Dead fans, Herschel is going to be there. Merle is going to be there. Also, Michael Rooker, who plays Merle, is Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy, then you're an idiot. Go see it.
Get out from under your rock.
Dan here's seen it, and he's poor.
He is quite literally a starving artist.
Yes.
They don't call them that for no reason.
Yeah. And actually, you should all thank him. He's actually the reason we call this thing Con Artist. No, seriously, when we were at TerraCon, which is the month we did the first one, I said, hey, wait a minute, does that make you a con artist? And then when we were talking about doing this, they're like, oh, we should call it Con Artist.
And the idea was spawned.
So the 12 of you who listen to this, but yeah, we're doing Rhode Island Comic Con.
Tell your friends.
I'm actually come see us on the Hunt Collectibles. I do plan on being dressed as Deathstroke one day. Shiny Doctor is going to be there. I'm not sure what you're dressing up as.
At least one of the days I will be Dean Winchester from Supernatural, based on the fact that they are trying to grab so many people from that show.
Yeah.
The other day was supposed to be based on Star Trek, on the original series, not the reboot movies, not the Next Generation. That idea is likely to fall through, so I really have no idea what the other day is going to be.
Well, I'm sure
I might actually get back into my pinstripes and my coat that Janis Joplin gave me and see if I still got the chops.
Well, I was going to say, I'm sure you have a couple song screwdrivers you can pull out if you need to.
Maybe one or two, yeah.
So, but it's a great show, and like I said,
17.
There's going to be a lot of great guests there. There's always hell, Zordon's going to be there.
Yeah. Rangers.
Zordon and Tori Wilson, the APA, Farouk and Bradshaw, or Ron Simmons and John Bradshaw at Layfield, Rob Van Dam, Mick Foley, Booker T is going to be there. Then, 3 weeks after that, we're going to be at New England Super Mega Fest in Framingham.
Yep.
Hulk Hogan is going to be there on Saturday.
I would love to get that autograph.
Yes. Oh, my God.
Along with the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
Your mouth to the South, Jimmy Hart.
Can't really have one without the other. You can. It's just a little less
it's kind of
fun.
weird. Also, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall are going to be this. You have the founding members of the New World Order at Boston Super Mega Fest. I'm sorry, New England Super Mega Fest. Also, you're going to have Jonathan Frakes, Marina Sirtis,
Denise Crosby.
Yep, all from the Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Hoping they add more names to that since New York was able to get the entire original
the problem
Next Generation
with
cast.
MegaFest is the room. There's not a lot of
There
room.
really is not a lot of room, but it is, in a way, it's set up in such a way that the flow really doesn't get too congested.
No.
That's been my issue. That was my issue last year with New
Yeah.
York. I've never seen it at San Diego, but I've heard much the same. You end up, if you go on the show floor at either of those venues, you are in a sea of people that is destined to go nowhere.
I've heard a lot of people, in regards to San Diego, a lot of people have said, something, it's really not worth it. Just because it's a lot of hassle just getting your hotel room and getting the tickets, and it's so crowded there. I mean, I've heard a lot of people be like, I just don't do it anymore just because. And I'm wondering if that has something to do with why New York Comic Con had a bigger, what's what I'm looking for?
Bigger drawing?
Yeah, bigger draw. Had more people this year than San Diego did.
You got to think too. I mean, you've got people who from our neck of the woods who try to get to that convention because we didn't have one on this side of the planet, and now we do.
Yeah.
New York is starting to get equal to and even maybe rival San Diego. So now people won't have to, because I mean, you figure with the amount of money they're going to start bringing in, they'll be able to get like Matt Smith and
Well, New York at the last minute, like 2 days prior to the event actually starting, added, as you mentioned, Matt Smith. They added Alex Kingston to the guest list at New York Comic Con. Alex Kingston, for anyone who's not a diehard Whovian, not familiar with her, she is River Song from Doctor Who. She's also Dinah Lance on Arrow. She was, I can't remember her character's name from ER. She has a very wide body of work, but she is very, very famous in nerd circles for being River Song.
Okay. Funny, I never actually knew.
And they added her at the last minute. They added Arthur Darvill, who played Rory.
I was going to say, I knew him.
Maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks prior to that. So it seemed like at the last minute they were trying to grab at Doctor Who people and say, hey, we want you to come to this show. New York and San Diego have always run very neck and neck, with San Diego typically coming in first and being the biggest in the country as far as comic conventions, and New York being a step or two behind them. So for New York to kind of overtake San Diego might say something to that West Coast crowd that, hey, maybe rather than focusing everything on San Diego and calling that Comic-Con International, maybe we need to make more of an effort to spread the wealth a little bit, make New York a bigger player in the game, because it really is the second coming of Comic-Con.
I think eventually what we could get to is a point where you've got Comic-Con West Coast, Comic-Con East Coast.
That's where I see it going anyway. And New York, I mean, if you're going to have a major Comic-Con, New York's not a bad place to have it.
No,
it really isn't. They would, in all honesty, from my experience, they would need to look at a bigger venue than the Javits Center. I don't know where they would go. I don't know the New York area that well.
No, I don't either.
It seems like it would need to spill out a little bit into a larger area. If not entirely contained in there, then they need to get a little bit more of the surrounding area involved.
You know what they could try, and I think, when I think of Boston, I feel like they could try something like this in Boston, because across the street, because you have the Bayside World Trade Center in Boston, where they have Boston Comic Con. But then almost right across the street, you have I think it's the Boston Convention Center. It's usually where they have that video game, PAX East.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like right.
Although, don't those use the same venue? I'm not sure. To
I'm
be
not
honest.
sure either.
I have not yet made it to a
When I
PAX
went-
East because those tickets
Well, when I
sell out
went
so
to
fast.
what do you call it? World of Wheels at the Boston World Trade Center, or the Seaport World Trade
Seaport
Center.
World Trade Center.
PAX East was actually happening across the street at the same time.
Now, isn't there like a sky bridge or something that
Well,
connects the two?
that's my point. Is why can't
Yeah, there is.
you? Why can't you spread it out? Like, oh, this is going on in this building. This is going on in this building. You know what I mean? I mean, if you're like on the same block, like I said, it's probably. I mean, I think it's like Seaport, 2 streets, and there's like a building in between it. But I think there's a sky bridge that connects those two. But why can't you just spread it out? You know, have it in more than one building. I mean, don't have one at you have the Seaport World Trade Center. Then on the other side of the city, you have the Heinz Convention Center. Don't do it like that.
No.
You'll have it nearby, but I feel like there's a way you could do it. Now I'm just using Boston as an example, but New York, I mean, I can't imagine them putting it like what do you call it? The Madison Square Garden. I can't imagine you using something like that for a Comic-Con. And I don't feel like that would actually help them. And the only reason I say that is because that's an arena. I mean, you really don't have. It's a bigger building, but it doesn't mean you have more room.
Yeah, it all comes down to the layout of the building too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have something that's built as a convention center, you have something built with ballrooms, you have something built with conference rooms.
Yes.
You can turn a lot of that space into usable space. If you have something like an arena, you have a lot of arena seating. You have the floor, but you have those limitations that you don't have in other places.
Exactly.
So I mean, that's not necessarily an answer. Like you said, it's not something that they necessarily should do, but getting something nearby involved as well
Well, I feel like you have to
could
think
work
outside
to their benefit.
You always have to think outside the box. I remember when WrestleMania used to be like Madison Square Garden or the Boston Garden or stuff like that. Then all of a sudden I said, why don't we do it in a football stadium? And that changed how WrestleMania worked. I feel like with
93,000 people changed the way that worked.
Yes. But I feel like, okay, now with something like Comic-Con, maybe we need to start thinking outside the box. How can we make it bigger, but not necessarily bigger just, it's bigger. But you got to make it better, too, and a little more.
Well, we've discussed on this a couple times about like Super Mega Fest. Now I love Super Mega Fest, but they need a bigger venue. They need a bigger.
They've really grown too big for their current venue.
Yeah. Well,
Which I think is a problem that New York finds themselves running into too. Is they've just grown too big, but at the same time, like I said, I don't know where they would move to that they could actually make work.
Well, I think the problem with New England Super Mega Fest is it's in Framingham, and I feel like in Framingham that's probably the only place you can put it. And if they move to Boston, well, what's the difference between Boston Comic-Con?
It would get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like I feel like it would almost become like Rhode Island Comic-Con and Terracon. Two completely different shows, but it's run by the same people at the same place. So you're almost like, wait, did that happen there or did that happen there?
Yeah. And that's been a constant thing of confusion. It's been because they're in the same place, because they're run by the same people, when they advertise somebody, it's like, all right, which show are they going to be at?
I mean, this time of year you can figure it out because you
issue.
know.
Well, yeah, everything else that they do
South Coast is
done.
over, Terracon's over, so now it's okay. You know, whoever they announce is for Rhode Island Comic-Con. But like you just said at the beginning of the year, I remember I was like, oh, they're doing Terracon, that's great. So now it's like, oh, we've got Shock T. I'm like, okay, is that Rhode Island Comic-Con? Is that South Coast Story Comic or Rhode Island? And I think she's actually going to be at Rhode Island or MegaFest, one of the two.
I think they added her to Rhode Island.
I know
they've been trying to get some Star Wars people. I know they announced David Prowse and
I know that
a few other people from.
Well, I know like a lot of people who are at Terracon and some of the people who are at South Coast, they actually added to Rhode Island too. Like they got Michael Bean back for Rhode Island Comic-Con.
You sure this time?
Well, I mean, he had a family emergency, so he wasn't able to make it to Terracon.
Yeah,
but Michael Jai White.
Fully understand something like that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
At the same time, it's kind of like we really hope that nothing happens again because we want to meet you.
I do. You know, Michael Bean. I think he's one of the most underrated actors of the early '90s.
Oh yeah, but
I think he's amazing.
From what I heard, one of the main reasons why like he did Terminator, he did Aliens, he did all that stuff, but then he got into directing.
I've heard that too. I heard he had some problems. I don't want to get into it, and I don't know because I don't know how much of it's true, and I don't want to go and say, "Oh, I heard he did this or did that." I don't know. All I get is what I see online. But
They can't put anything on the internet that isn't true.
That's true. I'm a French model on the internet.
yeah.
Bonjour.
So, but I don't know. Is there anything else we need to discuss before we call it a wrap?
Well,
While you play with Thor's hammer.
that sounded wrong.
You guys ignored me for a few minutes when I was talking about not seeing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Granted, I was out of the room, so I don't know if you're actually ignoring me or not, but...
No, we kind of just moved on. We got your point.
yeah.
Nobody noticed.
But yeah, so we got Rhode Island Comic-Con in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's actually 2 weeks from today. The first day is 2 weeks from today. It's Saturday and Sunday. It's a great show. Like if you're in the Rhode Island, Massachusetts area, come check it out. It's amazing. Even my parents are going. They're not even into this crap.
It's a great show. All of us are going to be there.
Yep.
A lot of the local cosplayers are going to be there.
And our good friend the Shiny Doctor here has infected everybody. Maestro makes his
costume debut,
cosplay debut at Rhode Island, and
I'm not saying it's going to be a regular thing. I wanted. The problem is this year I'm going to a wedding on Halloween, and the first half of the day I'm setting up for Rhode Island Comic Con. Second half of the day I'm going to a wedding, so I had this old cool costume idea, and I want to be able to use it. So I decided, you know what, I'll wear it to Rhode Island Comic Con.
Well,
I still want to know why Deathstroke can't go to this wedding. I don't understand why he's not
Deathstroke
being allowed in. Is
will
there
not
no
be-
weapons policy?
Deathstroke will not be at the wedding. However, Slade Wilson will.
Well, I suppose that's good then.
Yes. Don't forget who trained you how to fight, kid. Sorry.
well, you may not be doing it regularly. Although the way that costume's coming out, I think you should try to do it a little more frequently.
Oh, maybe.
But then MegaFest, I get to join the Deadpool Corps.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
The Deadpool Corps did have quite a representation at New York Comic Con. There was a flash mob that took place. Boston's Deadpool, I believe, was involved in that. Jim, we thank you for that.
Hey, speaking of Deathstroke real quick, though, have you seen the episode yet where Deathstroke breaks into Arrow's lair?
I don't think I'm that far yet.
Yeah.
But now that we're on that subject, I feel like lapsing into Chris Farley interviewing people like, hey, Jeff Daniels, do you remember when you did that movie Dumb and Dumber?
That was cool.
Do you remember that? Because that was cool.
No, there's an episode where you see they're going into the lair. Also, Deathstroke standing there. It's this big fight. It's one of my favorite episodes. But give you something to look forward to.
You keep doing spoilers, but you don't say spoiler alert, dude.
He doesn't kill anybody important. That's another thing we were actually discussing while you were away was something big happens in the season premiere of Arrow, but I don't want to get too much into it.
Yes, kill him with this.
But no, like I said,
you with this hammer.
our next show.
I am worthy of the powers of Thor.
Next show is Rhode Island Comic Con. You can come see our booth. I don't know where it's going to be. As soon as I know the road number and everything, I'll post it on our Facebook page. Dan will not have an artist alley table, but his artwork will be available at our booth. And if you're looking for Shiny Doctor Cosplay, he most of the time hangs out at our booth.
Yeah, I'll probably be standing outside yelling at people to come buy stuff.
Yeah,
but he's not for sale.
No, he's not.
Depends on the price.
Oh, what did he say earlier? $1 great. $5 will make my day. $10 will make my week. $20 I'll make your night.
I will make your night. And if that's not creepy enough, come closer.
From Jacques the Ripper. Oh, I'm sorry. Jacques the Whipper.
The Whipper.
From we saw him at
It's a young boy from
Richards
Texas
Fair.
with a painted on mustache. He's hysterical. He's funny. He's a really nice guy. Like his Facebook page. He is on the Book of Faces.
Yes.
Like many people who make appearances at King Richard's Fair and the local Renaissance fairs.
Yeah, he says he's called Jack the Whipper, not Ripper, Whipper. WHIPPR. He's hysterical. He does an amazing show. Check him out. He's awesome. So, but anyway. On the Hunt Collectibles, Dan H and Shiny Doctor Cosplay will probably all be in the same place at Rhode Island, and probably MegaFest too. So come see us there. Anything else to add?
I was just going to add at MegaFest, we are all prepared to fix any lighting issues. We'll probably all have our sonic screwdrivers available again.
Yes, we will.
It was necessary last year.
And it worked.
Hopefully it's not necessary again this year, though.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I love the people who, where they take a cue from us and what do? Start raising their lightsabers. It's like, no, that's going to break it.
The three
lightsabers, wands, sonic screwdrivers.
Yeah, we were trendsetters there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
may
pretty
have been
cool.
a Thor's hammer or two. Who knows? Somebody probably
we're
raised
just that
Mjolnir
cool.
and fired some lightning up there.
Yeah.
You know, we're just like that cool.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah,
Even though nobody listens to this.
yeah.
Please do.
That's not true. We have 12 listeners. Well, we probably had 13 for about 5 minutes, but
Yeah.
Oh,
I
well.
started hitting myself in the head with Thor's hammer.
It's hammer time.
So you're saying I should not stop and collaborate and listen
No.
because it's hammer time?
No. Or in the name of love.
Good to know.
Okay, anyway. And on that note,
I can't follow that.
but we will see you at Rhode Island Comic Con. Come see us. Maybe we should make con artist shirts so people know who we are, so they can punch us in the face. Like, I don't agree with you.
I think we should make con artist shirts anyways because
We should.
Yeah, we should.
that would be fun.
We'll wear them just when we're doing this. If we just had to do a video cast.
Should have the Con Artist logo and everything on the back. It should just say, "It's our opinion. Shut up."
There you go.
I will strangle you with my microphone wire.
Well, somebody needs to draw our logo because every month I just do a different one to fit our theme.
I thought our logo was Popeye the Sailor Moon.
Oh, and on that note, we'll see you next month.
No.